All right, good evening and welcome to the program Spot On Invicta 98.9 FM, Kaduna, Nigeria. Of course, I know a whole lot of you out there will actually be wondering, different voice right here. Of course, it might be different on the program, but you all know it's still the same voice right here on Invicta 98.9 FM, Kaduna, Nigeria. Spot On, it's a show, of course, usually presented and put together by Jacqueline Adebija, but due to one or two things, she couldn't make it in the studios today, and you all know how it is. I wouldn't want to let the program fail, so we'll be right here to talk more on the show. Spot On, it's a program whereby we take a look at burning issues that is actually, going around, both from human angles and politics from all rounds that concerns you and concerns me. Today we'll be taking a look at the topic rape. Of course, last time she actually had an incisive discussions with some guests right here in the studios, and today we'll continue from there, because if you check properly you realize that rape is something that we've been preaching about, but still is still on the rise. Despite the widespread outcry over the rising cases of rape in Nigeria, there seems to be no end to the nemesis. There is no day in the country without a reported case of sexual violence, especially rape, in the media. One contestable reason for the apparent rise of sexual violence in Nigeria could be that sexual violence victims are becoming more encouraged to report such crimes. However, it could also be that there is an increase in the rate of sexual violence in Nigeria. There have been many other reported cases of violations of women and girls, and even more worrisome is the sexual violations of little girls in the country. While launching the sex offenders registers as part of the government strategy to deal with the issue of rape in the country, let me take you way back. Like in December 2019, Mrs. Pauline Taylor, and that's Nigerian's Minister for Women's Affairs and Social Development, claimed that about 2 million Nigerians, mainly women and girls, are raped every year. This figure, although not proven, shows that there is a systematic failure in handling these crime issues. It's alarming nowadays that even older persons are being raped by the young ones, channeling down to getting reports of women raping men, women raping women, men raping men, older men raping young boys. Today on Spot On, we'll be talking more on rape and the consistent rise and the activity of the law on this, and not forgetting the area of public enlightenment. All right, welcome back from that short break. Today on Spot On, I have a guest, and of course, two prominent personalities are right here in the studios. Yusuf Kanhu, and that's the program officer, legal awareness for Nigerian women. You're welcome to the program this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right, it's nice to have you here. And also Bukola Ajao, legal practitioner, human rights activist, and former chairperson, FIDA Kaduna. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right. Of course, it might be the first time I'm hosting you, but it's not your first time to be hosted on the show. So, of course, my name is Jeffrey Mbedi Adiku, and just like as I said at the start of the program, we won't be wasting much of the time, because we'll be throwing open the phone lines for the listener out there to actually call and make their own contributions to the program. We all know what rape is. Every time we hear people talk about rape. You go on the news, you see stories on rape and all of that, and then people keep wondering if there is no proper awareness on rape, or probably what these people what do they benefit from rape. You get, for instance, whereby some people are arrested for being, taking such acts, and then before you know, when they are released, they go back to that normal, activities whereby they find themselves. But before we go deep into the program properly, let me first of all ask Mr. Yusuf, can you, in a way that every other person will understand, just define rape, or probably expatiate on it a little bit for us to understand?
Is that sexual activity that is carried out without consent?
Okay.
And if you talk about consent, you have different degrees. There are varying degrees of consent. Now, for instance, a woman who is above 18 and she is drunk, she doesn't have the ability to bargain her sexual activity. And so when you undertake in sexual activity with her, it could be term rape because it is she is under the influence of something.
Okay.
There are mental people
Okay.
who are mentally ill that when you engage in sexual activity with them, it could be term raped because their mental ability is not in place to be able to negotiate or bargain her or his sexual activity. And then there are also for minor, those who are underage, it is termed that at that point they do not have, even if they give consent, but the moment they are not up to the age of adulthood, it is termed that they do not have the maturity to be able to bargain that. So, and then there is also that of force, where the lady is saying no and the guy is saying no, or whatever party is forcing himself on the other, and then they are taking sexual activity by force, probably because it's more powerful or some inducement or some sort.
All right, thank you very much. That's actually an elaborate explanations on the term rape. And of course, you talked about age consent.
Yes.
All right, so what is the age?
The age for consent?
Yes.
Okay, when you talk about age for consent, I said it. Age for consent is 18. Anyone that is above 18 years is already an adult.
Okay.
And so, if you want to indulge in any sexual activity with someone, that person must be above 18. And where her consent is sought and she said no, then it is rape. Then for minor, a minor cannot give you consent. And who are these minors? They are children. I can say from 0 because we have a 3-month-old baby that was defiled. So a baby is minor. We have 0, 5, 6, 8, as long as that person is not up to 18.
Okay.
So that person is still a minor.
Okay, so what if the person is like 17 years old and with the person's consent is still considered rape?
No, when you say with the person's consent.
Yes, because there is this...
I understand your point. Okay,
Okay.
a 17-year-old girl who has a boyfriend and she visited her boyfriend of 22 and they decide to indulge in that kind of activity. With her consent, it is still rape because she doesn't have the capacity to say yes. She's still a minor.
Okay.
And if at the end of the day, her father gets to know that an adult person engaged with her in a sexual activity at that age, the father can take an action against that person because she doesn't have the capacity to give consent at that age.
Okay.
She's 17. She doesn't have the capacity.
All right, thank you very
Yes.
much. Okay, I think this question should go to Mr. Yusuf. There had been consistent rise in rape, even though there had been some series of enlightenment, both from the media and, of course, people like you and some NGOs and all that, but there's still a recurrent, cases of rape and all that. So do you think the awareness is not properly conducted or the law is not doing what they should have done to curtail this?
Well, I think that in every society there are deviants. There are very developed nations of the world who still have crimes being committed. They have police stations, they have very good judiciary in place, where you still have these crimes being committed. And the law is set actually to check the activity, the excesses, that we all carry out on a daily basis. So sometimes these circumstances give rise due to some projections in life. Some people have the ideology. For instance, in South Africa, there was a time that, and that South Africa has the highest rate of rape in the world. And, there was this belief that when you rape, a virgin, you are likely to be cured of HIV, and people indulge in doing that. And there are also instances of people who are into diabolical activities. They believe that if you engage in such, activity, there are certain things they are told by their teachers or their malams or their whatever, that part of the, instructions to either be strong or in society, or could, you need to do that. So sometimes they want to take that by force. And then there are also instances of some juvenile activities and some peer influence, could also lead to those kind of activity. And, sometimes from the things that we watch, especially for young people out of control, they could actually be seeking to doing that who is underage, depending on the circumstances. However, the issues of orientation has been there. If you talk about the books, whether the Bible or the Quran, there are instances where you are not expected to do that. In churches, pastors preach about that. Imams also talk about that. Organizations like ours talk about that. People still go to courts and are punished for their actions, and they still go out and do that. So like I started, there are deviants in society. No matter what you do, they would still go back. But the law is there to check them. And then there are those who have the chances, of being influenced by the kinds of campaigns that we do, and, the discussions that we're having like this. I will tell you from the definition that I just gave, a lot of people don't even see rape like that. They just see it as just seeing an opening and then you forcefully go in. They don't understand it, because there are instances where men who want to indulge in sexual activity would drug their women, or even women who want to indulge in such activity drug their men to have that kind of activity with them. So campaigns are going on, like this platform that we have Spot on, talking about it. I'm sure that so many people around Kaduna State and beyond probably could be listening to this, and it's a way of campaign. And then the law is also there to say, look, if you do this, the law is going to catch up with you. The Kaduna State government, graciously, assented to a law 2 or 3 years ago, the violence against prohibition, persons prohibition law, to say that apart from the penal code, there are certain sections of the law that should take care of this kind of activity. But with all of that, you still will have it. But life is about struggling. It's about pressing on. People should not stop. Just like the criminal activity wouldn't stop, and such, inappropriate actions wouldn't stop, the preaching should not also stop. And this is what we are saying.
All right, you actually mentioned like the kind of things that the youth watch.
Yes.
And the kind of things they consume, they take in.
Yes.
Actually necessitates some reasons why they involve in such acts.
Absolutely.
Now, I was actually having a discussion with few persons, and we talked about rape issues. And then one of us actually raised the opinion that one of the main factor of rape is sometimes the way women dress. But like 90% of the persons around,
yes,
they refuse, they disagreed with him. That is not true. But sometimes, probably maybe when you go to a gathering, like a public gathering, social gathering, and all that, there are some kind of clothing that women wear, and all that, showing almost all part of their body. The only hidden part in their body is just their nipple, and all that and all that. So now, when he brought down that issues that dress constitutes to some reasons a factor why ladies get raped, and some said no. So in such case, do you think dress is actually a factor? You
can see that I couldn't just wait for you to land, because just like he said, someone that is bad is bad. Someone that has that in his mind to do an act, he has already conceived it in his mind. He has made up his mind to do it. It is not about the dressing, and it's about the mental faculty.
But don't you think dressing can actually motivate the way he thinks?
Because I would now ask you, so a girl of 7 and 9 that have been survivors of rape, how and in what manner has she dressed for her to attract somebody? So, and that's why we don't agree with that.
Okay.
Even though I might say that for dressing, we need to go back to that age where parents should be careful about the way their children dress. when I came in here, I was chatting with him about something, and maybe you didn't hear. It's that when you see somebody, honestly, the way the person dresses already speaks volume of who that person is. But that does not give somebody the liberty or the room to say, because she's dressed like this. Most of those that are survivors of this rape, they don't fall victim by virtue of the way they are dressed.
Okay.
Yes, majority. So, but then we need to also sensitize parents on how they should be watching when their children are going out. Because if a girl did not dress very well and she's walking in a quiet and a lonely road where bad guys are hanging, even if they don't have that mind to do that thing, one of them might say, look at the way she's dressed, and everybody will look towards that direction. She could fall victim in that circumstance. But it does not mean that it is a ticket for you, that because somebody did not dress well or she has exposed part of her body, then it gives you the room to bounce on her. No. But we are also saying that for dressing, parents should watch out. Even some parents themselves, the way they dress, you will look at them and be wondering that, are you a parent? So we should still continue in that light too. It's very important that parents should watch out the way their children, when they are going out, you should be able to look at how your child is dressed. Is this dress appropriate? Appropriate dressing is important, but that is not a ticket for somebody.
All right, that is not a ticket for somebody to actually have that notion to rape.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
Okay, you want to make contributions?
Yes, like the discussion some time ago that love blinds. That love is blind, rather. I said
Okay.
love could blind, but love is not blind, which takes us back to the issues of morality in dressing. Dressing could lead somebody to rape, but dressing is not an automatic ticket for anybody to rape.
Okay, I like
So
that.
I think that this is the argument mostly that we have, and I think she raised certain things. There are people who are walking around women, and when you walk in this part of the world, our culture is different than if you travel out and you meet other people. And even in the same part of the world, if you go to some states, you would see that people who are coming to talk to you about morality and all of that are dressed in a fashion that sometimes you just marvel. And so I think that, like I earlier said, that it is not an automatic ticket to rape, but it could, indecent dressing could lead some people to being raped.
All right, you talked about parents, and I want to ask this question concerning parents, because there have been some instances that the reason why most of this rise in rape it's happening is because some people don't speak out. They don't speak up when they're actually victims of such. Now, parents also have contributions in some reasons why some people don't speak up. Like, how do you think parents, contributes in shutting up victims of rape?
Oh, okay. Yes. On that point, we have always advocate for victims to speak out. We call it break the silence. If you're falling a victim, you speak up, because if you don't speak up, that person will continue. The person will see it as, there's nothing wrong. Look, talking about how parents contribute to their children not talking, that we don't want, because the issue is, if a child wants to have a conversation with a mother or her father, you have parents that are easily irritated. The man has gone to work, the mother is just back from work, and the girl or the boy is trying, because it's not only girls that fall victim of rape, boys too fall victim of rape. So if a child is trying to communicate with a parent, the parents should listen, and the parents have this idea of, no, shut up, don't say that. Don't say that. You mean your uncle did what? I don't want to hear that. Exactly. So that is the angle. If a child is reporting her uncle, that mommy today, uncle did this, uncle touched me inappropriately. Inappropriately where? You should be careful to give that child a listening ear. Because if you don't do that, you are already giving her, a kind of shutting that she will not want to talk again. Because you did not even want to even listen, to even allow her to learn. And so that is where the parents will be making a mistake. If a child is communicating, listen. You have to give her that, no matter how tired you are. You have gone since in the morning, you're coming back. Yes, you are tired, but that little time you should give it to the children. You should not even wait for them to start talking. You should ask questions. How have you spent your day? What happened today? There was a teacher at home, because these days there are no schools. We have teachers coming for home lesson. Even for the female teachers, we have a female teacher that was abusing her male student, a small boy. The female teacher was indulging this boy in that kind of activity, which is wrong. So parents should learn to interact with their children. Make your children close to you. With that, the children will be able to communicate better.
So do you think that some reasons why some parents won't want to speak up, probably if it happened to their children, is because of discrimination
or stigmatization?
They don't want people to say, that family, their child had been raped and all that. Do you think
but if you keep quiet, you are only allowing the perpetrator to do more.
Continue.
Yes.
Well, I think it's a misconception. The perception of people, is shaped in such a way that society ideally should be right and upright. So I remember I traveled somewhere and I knew when I was still Nigerian, as Nigerians, and the mayor was telling us. He said, I saw lists on the wall. I asked him, how about these people? He said, well, we are, all of these names are mayors, and any day I die, my name. The team were like, oh no, you're not going to die. Don't worry, So this kind of perception, this kind of mentality is what we carry. That our ears don't want to imagine these bad things being said. There are these instances of culture where especially for women, that he's my in-law, he's my brother-in-law, nothing should happen to my marriage. How can my daughter, be alleging that this man had this with her? And I can't imagine society getting to hear it. And this is a capital inappropriate action, which must be challenged, which, must be abused, And so, and again, sometimes the women are scared because of the reaction of the dominant males.
Okay.
Yes, because when such things happen, mostly it is pushed to the women. They are not paying proper attention to the children. And when the man comes, it's either he shouts or he beats the woman and the child, or he disciplines. They will tell you, Babankize Kashiki, meaning your father is going to kill you because of this. He will deal with you. And he doesn't want to hear anything. For him, his perception of discipline is to actually shout on her, and that will shut her. And you know what that does? Like Barrister said, once you shut her up, the perpetrator will have the confidence to keep doing these things over and over. So we are saying that when you have a victim, or you come in contact with a victim, or there is a reported, case, there are a lot of things that you need to put into consideration. First, you don't go on advising the person. You only need to listen to the person. And while the person is talking, you need to show him you are believing in what he's saying. Otherwise, as he's talking, he's also looking at your psychology. How are you going to react? Because if the person doesn't feel safe, then you will stop talking. And then sometimes we also want to ask questions publicly. You don't do that. You find, an enclosed place where the person will feel safe, and you ask him. And sometimes you are asking the enemy to ask him questions. You get the point. And while you are doing that, one mama is chuking hand, saying this one and saying that, and and then this is the mentality of the victim. And so what we are saying is that once you get such instance, you need to isolate that person, get a person that would be that the victim will be comfortable with, and then they get to talk about that. And some people have made mistakes. Well, we've not gotten to the point of
but
evidences and all of that.
Just like what you're saying, when you're asking the survivor, the perpetrator might even be the one that is looking at her straight in the eyes and is warning her. Don't forget, you will be warning her with his eyes, and you will not know that he's communicating, telling her that, maybe even showing her his hand, like, don't forget I told you I will kill you. So the girl will just stop talking. So those are the kind of things that
and you know, in this part of the world, sometimes parents don't make their children feel free around them.
Exactly.
Because she sneaked out and she got raped, she would rather keep quiet than speak.
Because she's scared of what?
Because she's scared of the aftermath of her sincerity.
All right, I think we have a lot to talk on, but we'll quickly take a commercial break. Probably that's just on the part of parents shutting up victims of rape. And I believe parents have a greater role to play, in the upbringing of their children, most especially their female children, and not just the female children, even the male children.
Yes.
Because the way you treat your wife at home depends on how your children will grow up and treat their own wives when they eventually get married. Because as a child, if you grow up with your father always beating your mom, you feel as if that is right. Because everything you do in the front of your children is right to them. Because this is my father can't be wrong. You understand?
And most times it's unconscious.
Yeah, exactly.
You would feel it's wrong beating your mom, but when you are taking the actions, it's
just something that...
Yes.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. The program is Spot On. All right, welcome back from that commercial break, and the program Spot On still continues. All right, and with me I have Yusuf Kanhu, and that's the program officer, legal awareness for Nigerian women, and barrister Bukola Ajao, legal practitioner, human rights activist, and former chairperson, FIDA Kaduna. We're actually talking on the part and roles that parents have to play. If you want to talk about that, I think it will take a complete program. So let's just quickly, dive away from that and then talk about there are issues whereby men are also raped. I'd actually wanted to talk about husband and wife cases of being raped. You understand also, and I think we should talk about that.
I want to talk about that. That's a spousal rape.
Okay. That means
spousal rape.
Okay. So
whether there's anything like that.
Yes. There's any.
The issue is that our law, the law, which is the Kaduna State Penal Code Law 2017.
Okay.
When you look at that law, there's nothing there that talks about spousal rape, meaning a man that is married customarily, legally to his wife cannot be said to rape his wife. That is what the law says. But a woman can initiate a kind of an action against her husband where the husband manhandles her, assaults her, beats her before he carries out his conjugal relationship with her. She will be able to initiate a suit of assault, battery, and maltreatment, and not for rape. So there are two different things.
Okay.
Yes. Because you want to have a conjugal relationship with your wife, you blow her, her mouth is bleeding, then you have your way. Those injuries are enough for her to file a suit against you for assault and not for the rape. Because he's your husband. The law will not say because he has a relationship with you, then he should be punished.
Okay.
But he will be punished for assaulting you, blowing you blue-black because he wants to have conjugal relationship. Your mouth is bleeding and he still went ahead to have his way. You will not succeed on rape, but she will succeed on assault, the battery, or causing injury on his wife.
So you said she will not succeed on rape, but on assault. So does that mean that a man cannot rape his wife?
That is what I'm saying. If they are married, the
law does not
recognize the fact that the man can rape his wife. But
any day you go there to pay dowry,
yes,
and that she is given that right about
you have the right to have a conjugal relationship with her, but not with force and fighting and beating.
But again, I'm not a barrister, although we've been doing this together, but I'm almost a barrister by practice.
By association.
By association, sorry, by association, yes, no practice. Once you have this situation where she is sick and she cannot carry out that kind, yes, we've had instance. I've had somebody told me about a woman who just gave birth, and then she was knitted, and then she didn't spend 3 days. She came back to the hospital because the man had his way and he just pieces her, and then she came back.
So in such
a case, so what do you say about that?
That's what I'm saying now. That's
they will not recognize
causing injury.
Causing
her injury.
Okay, so yes. I think that the language is sugar coated.
Sugar-coated actually.
No, because if you say that a man will be convicted of raping his wife, then where is that relationship? That's why it is not encouraged. We are not saying it so that somebody will say, but lawyer says there's no spousal rape. You cannot have your way with your wife with force. She will have another way of instituting an action against you, because all those things you do will be obvious. Like this one, and your wife has a stitch and you want to have your way. How? You are causing her injury.
More harm. All right. Do you know that the number of divorced couple living together are more than those separated?
Divorced couples
living together.
Okay, that's
yes.
They are living together, but
they are not divorced as per legal divorce.
Separated. Yes, but they are separated.
They are like, my wife. My wife, but you don't just respect me. You don't take out your marital duties. You are just there. We are not in good terms and all that.
Are you talking of the conjugal
rights? Yes, and all that. Now the man will always want to take out his manly duty. What
but
he should have done.
Beating her.
No, you wouldn't beat her. The woman is not always in the mood, but he forces his way. So the law will still not recognize it. That the man is always forcing his way to his wife. The wife is not in the mood. She doesn't want the man close to him. But every time the man is always forcing his way.
That's why I say she will have a way in court.
Okay.
If it causes that injury, but the law does not recognize.
I think that she has established that. But you are also trying to make out the point that why you are called a gentleman, because in a fair weather you are expected to trigger each other and to have this proportional response in carrying out such an activity, and not when somebody. There are times when she says she's not in the mood.
You just have to respect her.
No, even if you don't respect it, you should have other ways of getting her to be in the mood. Because there are some who may like to
trust me when I say there are some women that can never be in the mood.
Then I agree. Then you don't have to force it.
There's no marriage now.
Of course, there's no marriage. Good. So now let's jump away from that quickly. I had wanted to talk about on the part of men being raped by women. And men being raped by men. A married
woman raping her husband, or which one are you?
No, this one is different. Now we are out of the marriage aspect. Now we're talking about rape.
Okay.
Generally.
Okay.
Like men being raped by women.
Yes, it happens.
The men are the victims.
Yes,
you understand? And then men being raped by men. You understand?
Yes.
It happens. Most
that
especially
one is homosexual.
Yes, and all that. So now, in the aspect whereby a woman rapes a man, is there any provision of our law, that condemn such?
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same, right?
Yes,
but you have any, like maybe any
section of the law that talks about particular incidents?
Yes.
You should understand that if you talk about rape, there is no side to it. It's not about whether
as a man, for instance,
yes,
someone like me now reports to the police station that I've just been raped by a woman.
There are instances of court groups of women who overshadowed a man and raped him. There are instances like that.
But usually it's usually group. You can't have one woman rape one man.
It will be surprised that there is a woman who can rape a man.
Because there are women that are beating their men.
Yeah.
So what is the difference?
You say that?
What is the difference?
They are not beating their wives.
All right, now okay, we talked the last time you actually talked on the provision of the law, like a law that is being set aside by the Kaduna State government. Yes. Can you elaborate more on this law? Because a whole lot of people were like, we've heard about this law, but has it been implemented? We've not.
The law is there now.
The law is there, but has it been implemented?
Yes.
So what is this law?
The law is, we have the Penal Code Law 2017 of Kaduna State, and the section that punishes rape is section 258. That section 258 was repealed last year, 2020, by a bill. It was that section was amended and it was signed into law, just that section. And that amendment is where a person rapes a minor, his punishment is castration and death. If the person that was raped is not a minor and the person is above 18, it is also castration and life imprisonment. And for this, it applies to a man and a woman. Either side. If it's a woman that rapes a minor, her punishment is castration.
It has been signed.
Yes, it's been signed.
Okay. Wow. Do we have any scapegoats so far?
You're using the law. We have cases in court.
Okay, cases in court.
We have cases
but
in
none
court
has been finalized so far.
No.
I think the general public really wants to see, to believe. All right, there was a question that was asked behind mic by a gentleman that I seated right here in the studio.
Yes.
What if a minor rapes an adult?
A minor,
like a 17-year-old boy raping like a 25-years-old woman or 30-years-old woman or 40-years-old woman?
Yes, for a minor, we have the Child Welfare Protection Law of Kaduna State.
Okay.
2018, if I'm not mistaken. That law, it's specifically for children. So that 17-year-old child, because as far as the law is concerned, it's still a child, who indulges or is a suspect of rape, he will be punished by the Child Welfare Protection Law because he's still a minor.
Okay.
And that means that upon conviction, he might not be taken to the regular court. So he might not be taken to maybe the correctional center. He might now be taken to rehabilitation center or where he will be corrected so that he will be a better person in the society. So a minor who indulges in that act will be punished by
all right, you can be part of this program. I think we can just take like 2 or 3 calls. 081 40,000 989 070 87 800 989 081 40,000 989 070 87 800 989. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. What's the name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, the barrister and Master Yusuf there. I'm Kure by name.
Okay.
Yes, I honestly, that was spoken my mind very well in a situation whereby you say mode of dressing. What did a 4 years or a 5 years has to do with dressing? So that issue of dressing should not even come in. It seems to me that those that are doing those things, they have lost their conscience already, not the issue of dressing. Finally, I want to know what is since the time that this law has been signed, how many people have been convicted? And me, I want to hear it so that I will believe myself that the law has been signed. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Kure, for that contribution. Of course, you can still be part of this program. 081 40,000 989 070 87 800 989. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Can you be a little bit audible?
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, sounding very faint.
Very faint.
All right, go on. I can hear you now.
Okay. In respect to what we are discussing,
yes,
I don't want to believe that it is possible for a woman to rape a man.
Okay.
The reason being that if you're a woman, you want to force, if like like this situation, if a man is not ready for sex, definitely his man do not direct. So if the woman overcomes the man, so how will she be able to rape the man? But on the other way, a man can force himself to a woman, but a woman cannot force herself to a man. When it's a man who is not erected, so how possible it is for a woman to rape a man?
All right, I think I have.
On that.
All right, I think I have an answer to that, but we have our own guest right here in the studio, so they can quickly react to that.
It's Yusuf that will respond because I don't understand what he's saying. But but briefly, what I want to say is that he said he doesn't believe that a woman can rape a man. But we have cases where men report that a woman raped them. I have somebody that reported that a woman raped him, and I was shocked. I was not asking him how, and of course he told me that people will not believe, but it happened. Because the general idea is, because you are talking, this person that asked this question is talking about the position. What he's saying is that how would a woman, bounce on a man? It's not possible. That it has to be the other way around. That's what he's trying to say. But then what of if
because the man will not get erected if he's not in the mood? That was
it depends on what the woman is using. A woman could use an object and threaten the man too, depending on that kind of person. There's nothing that is earlier, not possible.
Sorry, earlier when I started, I talked about some, degrees, varying definitions of rape. I talked about somebody being, mentally ill. I talked about underage. I talked about somebody being drugged. A woman can drug a man and get him to sleep with her. And if you look at that, under the influence, he is taking that action. The man may be mentally ill, and then she could go there because he doesn't have the capacity to begin his sexual activity. She could just go there, instigate his hormones, and have him. So there are instances, because I think that people are limiting the definition of rape to just penetration between adults and not looking at the circumstances, because if you look at the law, it is about the circumstances. How did this thing happen, and what was the motive behind it? And then she also talked about men to men. Okay, we're talking about man to woman. I mean, woman to man. Yes. So this is very possible. And I tell you that there can be also, though that I have not heard, but if there are women that are beating men, but there can be women that correct
exactly
men.
All right, I think we have a whole lot to talk about. Phones are buzzing, and of course I have so many questions to ask, and I believe the caller out there definitely have questions to ask too. But in one sentence, quickly, what would be your advice to victims of rape that have not spoken up?
Yeah, for them to speak up. It's very important to speak up, because by speaking up, that's where you get help. Because it's not about the emotional circumstances. We have the mental one, and so they need to get help. Psychosocial support, counseling, for them to be able to help themselves.
Speak
because
up.
They don't forget.
It's
not something that you forget. The trauma remains, so they need to
I would
be helped.
All right.
I would talk to the families to be able to support them, because most of the problem is from the families and the people around. I would advocate that families or close relations give them support to be able to speak out, so that we will have.
All right, thank you very much, Yusuf Kanhu, and that's a Program Officer, Legal Awareness, Nigeria, for Nigerian women, and Bukola Ajao, Legal Practitioner, Human Rights Activist, former Chairperson, FIDA Kaduna. And with my closing, with current campaigns against rape and other forms of sexual abuse in the country, the state needs to rise to the occasion and deal with it. Apart from the creation of sex offenders registers, which, even though commendable, but it is technically deficient without a national database containing information of every citizen and a national criminal record system. Secondly, the handling of reported cases by the police in some situations have discouraged many victims of rape from coming forward. There is a need for such cases, if charged to court, to be given a quick hearing, thereby restoring confidence in the mind of victims. If rapists are caught, tried, and jailed in time, it can serve as a form of deterrence to future offenders. So with that, let's just keep doing what is right and say no to what is not right. As a victim of rape, learn how to speak up. And if you're actually a neighbor to somebody who is suffering from sexual violence or domestic violence, of course, you need to speak up too. My name is Jeffrey Mbediadiku. Thank you very much for being part of this program. Spot On. Return same time, same station next week. Thank you to my guest, and one more time, you're welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
having us.
And of course, I believe next time when we call, just in case of emergencies like this, you actually answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being part of the show. Have yourself a wonderful time.